here's Brody Brazil.
Well, if I'm being honest, from a couple thousand miles away, when I think about the Pittsburgh Pirates, there's nothing immediately wrong that comes to mind. I mean, they've got a beautiful baseball stadium. Their team hasn't won in a long time, and their fan base is good. So what really is to be questioned here until I saw these billboards go up recently? Abandon ship, Bob. That's their owner, by the way. Sell the team. There's a website, ourteamnothis.com, and these billboards have been crowdsourced in terms of funding. There's a GoFundMe to put up 4 billboards just like this, and it's just the start of the conversation that some fans want to have with officials in Pittsburgh as well as ownership of the Pirates baseball team. Let's first start with the on-field product because this is the easiest part to understand and dissect. This is a Pirates team that, again, I've known has struggled, but when you really look at how long it's been and how bad they've been over the years, it kind of makes a statement here. They've made the playoffs only 3 times since the 1992 season. That's right. They've made the playoffs only 3 times since Barry Bonds was a Pirate. 2013, 14, and 15, so in sequential years. And that's it. They never got past the NLDS. In fact, I think 2 of those 3 years, it was just a wild card game. They have 1 winning record in the last 10 seasons. They have 4 total winning records in the last 32 years. So team struggles on the field is definitely part of what's going on here. But there's also been the statement of spending and lack of spending. This is their year-end 40-man roster spending throughout the last almost quarter century here. Since the year 2000, it's never exceeded $100 million. And it's not necessarily still trending in an upward direction. Obviously, 2020 is going to change some things there. But it spiked in 15 and 16 and 17, and then it went down before 2020. And I'm not here to say that you absolutely need to spend to be successful, but to sustain some level of success. Sometimes you have a great pipeline and your young players come up, but then you need to pay them to keep them to continue being successful. Otherwise, if you're not tapping the free agent market, how are you as a team getting better and staying better over the years? You have to, at some point, spend some money, and that's something that the Pirates have obviously not done in the last quarter century. So there's the lack of success. There's the lack of spending. And the Pirates are getting money. Since 2007, the Pirates have been a bottom 5 opening day payroll all but 3 of those years. They've never had a higher payroll than 20th in Major League Baseball in total spending. And back in 2018, the Major League Baseball Players Association, they filed a grievance against a couple different teams, Tampa, the Marlins, the Oakland A's, and the Pittsburgh Pirates for not spending their revenue sharing as intended. So this is a Pirates team that, even if they say they didn't have the money, they were getting revenue sharing money. They just weren't actually putting it back into the product on the field and their team. Now, here's another issue, because you look at PNC Park and you look at the view and you also understand it's not that old, but it's about to hit a tipping point with the Pirates and maybe some renovations and some upgrades as it gets to be 30-something years old. The Pirates are currently on a $500,000 a year lease, which expires in 2030, which still sounds a ways away, but it'll be here right around the corner before you know it. PNC Park, when it was built, was 80% publicly funded. The Pirates only handed over $40 million in terms of total construction for PNC Park. The Stadium Authority, which runs it right now, they're not necessarily funded for any type of future upgrades. They're not saving any money for that. In fact, they had a recent $1 per ticket surcharge so that they could do some video board upgrades. They hadn't upgraded any of the video screens or systems since the mid to late 2000s when they hosted the All-Star Game. They just upgraded that a couple years ago, but they didn't have any money to do it. So when they needed money, they started adding dollars onto ticket sales for the surcharges to add up and to raise money to install what they needed. So we'll talk about the billboards here. The Sell the Team movement has reached Pittsburgh. 4 billboards calling for the owner, Bob Nutting, to sell the team. They were put up in Pittsburgh here in mid-November. A group raised more than $19,000 on GoFundMe to pay for these billboards to be up. Gabe Mazefsky of Forest Hills in Pennsylvania says they plan to keep the billboards up until Nutting sells the team. And they also plan to attend public forums to speak out against Pirates ownership. All of this coming to us, by the way, from KDKA Television in Pittsburgh. Mazefsky will also be heard by the county's Sports and Exhibition Authority to consider raising the Pirates' rent or to have new clauses in their next contract tied to on-field performance or attendance or maybe even spending. Essentially, if you don't win, if you don't spend, if you don't try, your rent goes far up from the $500,000 a year than where it's at right now. This is a quote from Mr. Mazefsky. Pirates Fest is coming up January 18th. We all intend to go there, and we hope Bob shows up. We'd like to have a public dialogue about this. Now's the time to address Bob's lack of stewardship, and it's time to find a new partner for PNC Park and the Pirates. This is getting real. This is getting serious. This is getting real serious real fast. And that's where I'll begin with my takeaways here. The root of all of this is losing. I mean, there's the lack of spending. There's maybe the frustrations of a lease that's right around the corner, and nobody's got money to fix up PNC Park and make sure that it's sustainable for the next 30, 40 years. But losing, again, is what starts all of these conversations. And the fan base kind of feels like they're stuck in the mud because it hasn't just been a year or a decade. It's basically been an entire generation of Pirates fans. They've only had a few winning seasons. They've only been to the playoffs 3 times since the early 90s. So I understand why the fan base really feels like it is stuck in the mud with all of this. But at some point, at least trying would give a better image, would have there be better optics for the Pirates. At some point, spending reflects intentions. If you spent more on a team that looked like it was going to do something, or now that you've got one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, are you going to keep him? Are you going to spend on Paul Skeens? What are you going to do with that situation? It's not just the winning and losing, it's the trying. And that's one of my points here. Winning and trying, sometimes they go hand in hand. Sometimes there's trying, but not winning. Sometimes there's winning when you're not really trying, but then the winning goes away and the fact that you weren't trying was very evident from the start. Anyway, this movement of selling the team and this website, and I'm sure there'll be shirts, and I'm sure this will be more promoted. The billboards are just the start. I've seen how this happens. I've seen how this festers. I've seen how this grows. And if it's not addressed in a proper manner, the fan base is going to continue joining on to this movement. It will get bigger. But again, winning versus trying. If you can do one of those two things at least, you're going to kind of kick this can down the road and maybe this movement won't grow as fast. But if you're not doing either, or both, preferably, then the movement is definitely going to grow. And the last part about this, you're in Pittsburgh. It's tough competition. The Penguins and the Steelers, they always seem like they do the right things and do things the right way. And so it's hard for the Pirates to keep pace. And even when the Penguins are struggling like they are right now, and even in years and decades where the Steelers haven't been one of the NFL's legacy teams, they still have great fan bases. They still have high expectations in Pittsburgh. So the Pirates need to, again, keep pace with the other teams. It's not the easiest sports market to compete. They've got so much going for them. It's kind of sad that this is the case and this is the situation. I know a lot of people are wondering, well, that lease is ending. Could this be the end of the Pirates in Pittsburgh? Whoa, I don't want to go that far. I understand the frustration, and I understand the biggest deal right now is that there's just not enough put back into the stadium, not enough put back into the team, and there will be that tipping point in a couple of years. But that's why right here, right now, it's a pivotal time. The fans are putting their message out there. How and will the team respond or not? How does that go? It's just something to pay attention to. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. That's the end of this video. I appreciate you making it here to the final seconds. Thumbs up down below. That greatly helps me, this video, and this channel. And also while you're down there, hit that subscribe button so I can definitely see you back here next time.